Bali Grana Mini Bung, I'm Engineer Hoist, and this is my review of the Legacy Jhiaxus. He showed up a little early from Amazon. I was surprised, but very happy to see him show up. Standard Legacy box with no plastic window. Got the product shot on the back, the Legacy artwork on this side, and the artwork for Jhiaxus on this side. But we're not here to look at the box. Let's get him open and go check him out. Here is Jhiaxus straight out of the box, and I gotta tell you, this guy is awesome. When you first get him out, I mean, just the presence alone, just him standing there, the proportions of him are just absolutely perfect. It's got a lot of white plastic, but it's a really nice color. There's no signs of yellowing. I mean, unless you count the hands, face, chest, and legs, which are painted yellow, but none of what we typically consider yellowing on white plastic. And he looks really great. I do have a few issues with mine. The head is very loose. These little bat wings on his feet, when they're not quite tabbed in, they're very loose. Even his feet are pretty loose here, and the fists are kind of loose. So I've definitely got a looseness problem on my copy. I've seen other people having problems with the head. It's nothing that a little bit of joint tightening work, whether you use Kiki or floor polish or whatever your preferred method is, nothing that can't fix, and I'll definitely take care of that once we get done with this review. But I'd wanted to make sure that we got it pointed out. But I mean, just, yeah, this guy, he's great. Let's talk about accessories. He comes with two guns. They're practically identical to each other. Just the big one is small, a bit, it's a little bit bigger than the smaller one. The smaller one is painted transparent. It's got some nice, like a gunmetal / silver paint on it. Some of the details are changed because it does have a hole and a peg there. And he can hold them, of course, in these nice hands that open. They've got articulated fingers, and he falls over. The things that happen when you get him in front of a camera. So there you go. The guns can peg into the side. The smaller one can peg onto the larger one. So if you want to have him dual wield there, or like have a double barreled, I guess, and he can hold both of them for sure. So you can get him in a nice menacing pose there, and very cool. And you can see, so the looseness is causing a little bit of problem for me here, but I'll get that tightened up. But yeah, so he's got a nice head. He's got this little green searchlight thing on his his shoulder. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. I didn't read the G2 comics, and he did show up in Regeneration 1, and but I don't recall that little light doing anything. But he does clean up pretty nice in the back too, if that's something that concerns you. For articulation, he can go pretty much 360 on the arms, except he's got the wings there. The arms can go out that far. He's got a bicep swivel, elbow joint, pretty deep elbow bend. The wrists swivel, and as I already showed, the hands do open. It's all one piece. Oh, let's see, what else do we usually show off? Waist swivel. He can do the high kicks. He'd be fine for the Rockettes. Back, not quite so far. Out, pretty far. Yeah, he's got a thigh swivel, really deep knee bend, and he's got a ankle rocker, which, like I said, on mine is kind of loose, and the toes can pivot a little bit. But so you can get some pretty good poses out of this guy if you're a better poser than I am. As far as posing figures, yeah, so there's a nice little overview of him in robot mode. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention. I just found this a couple of days ago. In fact, Patriot Prime, I think, found it and shared it with us. This little searchlight thing can actually come off. It just kind of pegs in here, and you can actually store this on the back of the weapon. It just pegs in there, so now he's got that. and it's on the back of the weapon, so I'm not entirely sure what you would want that for. Maybe mount the weapon on the back of his arms, and now he's got a flashlight or something. And you can then fold this piece in, so it's not just open like that. You can actually fold that into his chest, which we'll see a little bit more when we cover transformation. But I'm going to go ahead and put that piece back on. I don't really expect to be doing that myself, except for right now to show off the feature. But it's there if you want to do it. It might be one of those that one time in that one issue kind of things, but it's there if you want to do it. And now some comparisons. There's our standard Siege slide swipe. There's been so many of those guys, pretty sure everybody's got one of him, so you can get an idea. There he is with Legacy or Kingdom Blaster, another fellow Voyager class figure. And here he is with Legacy Laser Optimus Prime, aka Shoulder Pads Prime for all of you who know me from my Transformers Earth Wars videos. And finally, with the previous version of Jhiaxus that we got in the Thrilling 30 line, he was a retool of the Armada Starscream mold in a nice bright orange color, and he was represented that way in the comics at some point. I believe even in the IDW comics during that run, he was mostly some version of this, maybe not exactly that, but he did show up in this right around the time the toy was released. Go figure. And now for transformation, let's go ahead and get started. I don't really recall the full order, but you just we'll go ahead and open up the arm cover there, and as you can see, these arms are very loose, or the hands are very loose. So I'll be tightening those up. But once you get them closed in and pegged in, they do stay pretty well. Although they have opened up on me a couple of times. And let's see. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull the back open. And if you leave his head forward like that, he'll be poking out the cockpit. So I like to go ahead and turn his head around so that it's a little bit more hidden when he's in his alt mode. And so we'll fold that down, and let's see, that doesn't quite happen yet. We go ahead and lift up the front of the chest, and we'll bring out his nose cone and snap that in there, and his little light just folds in right here like that, and that's about as far as it goes. Now, if you happen to do the light removal that we showed before, you can actually fold that all the way in, and then if you were doing this in robot mode, you could then fold this back down, and then he'd have no light on his chest. So there is that, and I'll just go ahead and leave this off and put it on the gun. So that folds up. Let's click that back in, and then close the other part of the cockpit, and then we take the wings and we kind of straighten them out. They sort of fold in on themselves, and there's a tab that goes into a slot on there. You kind of got to bend the plastic, so just be careful that you don't overdo it and break it. You can unfold the wings. You could also display him in robot mode with the wings all the way out if you like a little bit more of that wide wing stance. And you just fold that flat, and for the moment, we'll just kind of leave the wings kind of up there while we work on the leg, get those legs transformed. Oh, before we do that, we do want to spin him at the waist. So, and yeah, these wings don't really tab in anywhere on except for right there, and as soon as they come loose, they just they just flop everywhere. So it's kind of annoying during transformation. Hopefully, when I get them tightened up, it'll be a little better. So just kind of bring this leg forward, and you bend it forward, kind of sort of Combiner Wars style, like the aerial bots used to be. And while you've got it separated, you fold the feet like that. And this is kind of weird. You kind of need to get the yellow part here tucked under this, but then this other white part above it. So you kind of need to slide it in at an angle and then get that, and you know, it's a nice little satisfying click. And probably should have done this before, but the inside of the leg comes around, and we'll try to do it better this time. So the inside of the leg kind of comes around like that, and it does kind of click in a little bit. Maybe not a click, but it, you know, it secures itself somewhat until you knock it. Lift this up, fold the leg or fold the foot, and then bring this up, get it up under there, tab it in, then you tab the two legs together, but you want to make sure the two tail fin pieces are together because they tab as well. So there's that. These bat wings, they show going down to the underside there, but there's no place for them to tab, and since mine are so loose, they just kind of hang. It really doesn't affect anything if you want to leave them out, so that's generally what I do. Although to show the wing part, it's a little bit easier to have it down. So you'll fold this back down, and there's this little slot right up in there is going to tab onto this notch where right around where that wing is. And you'll end up being at a slight angle on this white armature there. And we'll go ahead and do that on the other side. And there's a pretty nice jet mode, but we still got to handle the arms. And from what I could tell, you fold these in and make sure the arms are oriented so that the nut pegs here are facing towards the body, and they will go into these slots here. So then you just kind of fold this back like this, and you can tab these two together. So it appears to me, oh, well, we'll put that back together. That everything always goes wrong when the camera's rolling. It appears to me that they basically just had nowhere else for the arms to go, so they just kind of moved them a little bit. But yeah, pretty standard Transformer jet alt mode that it looks like a jet with some robot pieces hanging on the bottom. Although I gotta say, it does not look like just a robot underneath, like the Seekers and aerial bots tend to do. So they did a little bit better job. I don't know, maybe these are more similar to kind of like Skylinks' Link's part, where he's just like the whole platform underneath the space shuttle. But so there you go. That's a interesting jet mode. I gotta tell you, when I first saw the pictures of this, I was like, man, that's a weird looking jet mode. It looks even more weird when you attach the weapon up underneath the nose cone. It just looks out of place. But you know, I just thought, does this fit this way? Oh, that would have been perfect. You know, the magazine kind of gets in the way. If the gun actually were to fit this way, and you had the light in there, that could be something like this look. Well, let's try that again without it all falling apart. It would give you something like this look, and that would not be quite so bad. You could probably do that if you wanted to take this magazine part off. You probably could fit it that way, but you can't. Or, I mean, you can, but I'm not going to. He does have some ports on the sides of his legs that you can use in jet mode as well. So we'll go ahead and put that in sideways. So now he's got his lights forward. Although it doesn't really work. Again, the magazine kind of gets in the way. But the smaller weapon does port in there a little bit better. And this doesn't really work there. It works a little bit better on this side facing forward, and his smaller weapon can also do that. So that's probably the best configuration for the weapons for his jet mode. So not very good weapon storage for this guy, unless you want to do what they say and to put this big weapon up in the front. So I don't know, maybe you like it. I'm not a big fan of it, but there it is. So hey, there's a use for the arms. It's a good way to hold it without hiding any of the other important jet parts. So yeah, so there is Jhiaxus transformation and his alt mode. I'll go ahead and take these off and see what other comparisons we can bring up. So there we go. And now for comparisons, here he is with Legacy drag strip. My custom shattered glass thundercracker made from one of the Siege Seeker molds, so you can get an idea how they compare. And finally, that previous Jhiaxus figure. Okay, final thoughts on Legacy G2 Jhiaxus. I gotta tell you, this is a fantastic bot. Looseness issues aside, he's a worthy addition to any Transformers collection. Even if you're not a fan of the character in G2, it's just a really good toy. A very unique look on your shelf, and you'll have a good time playing with them. And yeah, highly recommended. And I think that's going to do it. I'm Engineer Hoist. Keep rolling, my friends. We'll see you next time.